What's up, everyone? Just got out of the marketing meeting. Things are looking great. We're going to start a new contest tomorrow. So we have some things planned for tomorrow, right? Because now we are confident in the new date. Um, let me just, I'll have, let me just give it a couple minutes for people to come in, but things are looking good. So it's exciting. I want to explain the testing process. So, how people are testing it right now. I want to explain the audit situation. I want to talk about some things that we have tomorrow that are going on. I'm not going to speak to them in specific detail because I want it to be a bit of a surprise, but I want to speak to that a little bit. And what I was excited to talk about, why I wanted to do this, is because we have a pretty bullish plan for the liquidity that was not claimed. So I'll get into that in I'll give it 1 minute and I'll get into that. But glad to see everybody here. I announced this last minute and people are flying in. Our engagement has only gone up. So some people were, a little bit concerned saying that we put this marketing into the 18th and now we're doing it on the 1st. What do I think about that? And of course, you never want to have delays, but we're doing it for a good reason, and our engagement has only increased. And now we have another week to promote, and we can launch with confidence, knowing that the changes that we made have been audited. So we've been triple audited at this point. Basically, we had our initial audits, and then we made a change to improve the game theory. And now, even though that change from a technical perspective is not massive, the from a game theory perspective, it is massive. But even though it's not a huge technical change, I still want to do our due diligence and have that new change be audited. So it was important to me that we did that. And we got feedback from the auditors already. They had some suggestions on some minor tweaks we can make to make the contract a bit more efficient. So we'll do that. But everything is working. There's no issues, no bugs, nothing like that. So there's a slight tweak we can make to make it a little more efficient, which is nice. I mean, that's why you get audits. But other than that, we're good to go. And one of the ways you can be confident that we're good to go is the way that our public testing is going on right now. So the way that our public testing is happening is we gave people instructions on how to use their hard hat to fork the current Binance Smart Chain on whatever block that they start, and give them basically ownership control over the dog token so they can unpause it. So the testers right now, which we opened the group up to anybody who wanted to join and do testing, but of course, because we're doing testing in the most optimal way possible, you need to have some skill to be able to do it, because you need to know how to fork BSC. And we gave instructions to do that, but still there's some technical know-how that's needed. But out of the 60 or 70 people that joined the group, there's probably anywhere around, well, a lot more people came, but since you need to have some hard hat ability, a lot of people are just in the group, just asking questions and all of that. But there's a good 30 of them probably that are actually very proficient and running the tests. So the reason why this should make everybody very confident, is because what they're testing right now is not just contracts that we gave them and said, okay, here's contracts, deploy them and test them yourself. And they're not even contracts that we deployed on, say, BSC Scan testnet and said, okay, use them. It's even more optimal than that. We're saying, okay, we launched these contracts on mainnet, fork mainnet on the current block, and test the contracts that are currently on mainnet right now in the state that they're in right now. So people have been doing that, and they've been running tests at volume. They've been doing scripts to test every function with thousands and thousands of transactions, tons of volume. Because in Hard Hat you can mint yourself BNB, so people can set up 50,000 accounts very easily, 50,000 different wallets, put 1,000 BNB in each wallet, and just have them go to town on all of the functions in the contract, doing everything you could possibly do, millions of times. And people are doing that right now on the exact contracts that we have deployed on mainnet in the exact state, because they forked it, and everything is running smooth. So literally all they're doing is forking it and unpausing, and everything is live and good to go. Just like now, all we have to do to match the state that's they're doing on testnet is unpause the dog token, and it will be live. It will be running smooth, just like it's running on testnet or the sidechain, whatever you want to call it. And then the auditors, the auditing firm that we decided to go with is a relatively new firm, but the reason why we went with them is because they have a very skilled team. The main auditor for this new company we're working with was the chief auditor for Certic, and he left Certic because he basically felt like they were not performing as they should. They were just kind of I don't want to talk bad about another company, but basically automating the system, automating their system, and just kind of churning them out, right? Not really giving each project the detail they should. And he was not okay with that. He thought they could do a much better job. He's the one that was in charge of running the auditing teams. So he started his own company. And he's written over 1,600 different Solidity contracts. He's worked on some of the top projects in the space. He's audited a lot more than that. So this is a very, very high level audit that we're having be done. But on top of that, you don't even have to rely on the top level audit, because you can test it yourself right now if you have the skills to do that. And 30 plus people are. And you can also run Slither, which is an open source auditing script that you can get on GitHub. And as long as you know how to run a Python script, our contracts are all open source right now. So the majority of them have been verified on chain, but actually, I believe all of them have been verified on chain. There might be one or two that are like supporting contracts that have not been verified yet, but they are in the test suite that we made available to testers. So all the contracts are available now in open source. So you don't need to even trust the auditors. You can go test it yourself, which is what crypto is all about, right? Putting the responsibility in the hands of the user and allowing them to do their own due diligence without needing to trust any other centralized institution. So that's great. About 100 new people joined. So I'll just say one last time that we got the results back, at least the initial feedback from the auditors, and everything is working great. We got a little bit of feedback on something that could be made slightly more efficient, but no bugs, no issues, no logical issues. Everything's great, and that means that we don't have to do some major redeployment or anything like that to go live on the first. So we're very confident on this first date. Uh, Now, to discuss something that I was thinking about earlier today, which I'm very excited about, something that's super bullish for launch and after launch, but especially for launch. Uh, the way that we handled crediting was that people were credited either single asset dogs or LP tokens, and what was and if they were credited single asset dogs, then they were able to claim their single asset dogs. If they were credited LPs, they had a choice to either claim those LPs or claim the same USD value of single asset dogs. And a significant amount of people decided to claim single asset dogs because you have more options if you do it that way. You can then add liquidity and get into the V2 pools. You can get into the dog pound. You're not in that LP vesting contract, so you have a lot more options. And because a significant amount of people decided to credit themselves single asset dollars instead of LPs, we have a significant amount of leftover LPs, because if they decided to get the single assets instead of the LPs, what the initial idea is that those LPs would sit in the contract and not be able to be claimed by anybody, because you lose that allocation to be able to claim them once you decide to claim the single assets instead. And that just creates locked decentralized liquidity, more locked decentralized liquidity for the dogs token. But there's a better way to do it, and this is what I was thinking about this morning, and it's very exciting. So those additional LPs, instead of just having them sit in the contract and not be really utilized, or they're utilized in a sense because it's locked decentralized liquidity, that's a good thing, but it's not being utilized in the most optimal way. The most optimal way to use it, which is what to really put that capital to work, especially since we have no issue with liquidity on the dogs token. First of all, off the top of my head, I don't remember how much liquidity is, but it's something like, I don't know, 24 million or so very high, right? I don't know, but it's something very high. So there's plenty of liquidity there to launch, and also now the only way that you can farm animal farm pig tokens is by adding liquidity to dogs. So there's going to be a ton of liquidity for dogs. So the best way to utilize these additional LP tokens that were not credited, which would otherwise just be sitting in a contract locked forever, is to unpair that liquidity and take the dogs, which would be on the sell side of the books, and burn them, remove them from circulation, and take the BNB and the BUSD and add it back to the buy side of the order book, creating buy pressure. So you're still adding that liquidity back to the liquidity pool, but you're doing it in a way that creates price appreciation. And since the dogs that you're buying with it get burned, you still have that locked decentralized liquidity. You're just doing it in a way that's causing price appreciation. And we're crunching the numbers now to find out exactly how much additional liquidity we'll have to be able to do this kind of thing. But likely and potentially it's going to be millions of dollars, and we're going to determine the best way to utilize it, and this will be made public, obviously, before we put any of this capital to work. But the way I would like to utilize it is use a good portion of it to add back to the liquidity pool, only to the buy side of the liquidity pool, and then burn those dogs, and use a portion of the BNB and BUSD for dog pound and pig pen injections. So the dog pound, the way that's going to work, from like a detailed perspective, the way that these payouts are going to happen is every time someone swaps the dog token, the 2/3 of the tax applied is swapped for BNB and sent to the dog pound vault. Now, the dog pound vault pays out 3% of its balance daily. So what this means is that BNB is going to accumulate and grow very rapidly, because when it has all this BNB sent to it, but it's only paying out 3% of its balance, it's going to grow large. That balance is going to grow large, and that 3% payout every day is going to get larger and larger and larger. But it's but it's going to be a kind of compounding curve where initially not too many people are going to want to swap the dog token, because everybody's going to start out with a 90% tax. So initially, the amount of BNB is going to be relatively limited that's being sent to the dog pound. But as the price appreciates, because there's going to be no sell pressure, but a ton of buy pressure, so as this price appreciates, the value that is distributed when a tax is applied gets greater and greater and greater. And what's going to happen is, initially, not that many people are going to want to sell. But when the price does 10x, and then 20x, and then 30x, and the price is up 50x, and say people have reduced their tax by 20%, right? 20 days have gone by, the price is up 50x. It might make sense for someone to say, hey, I'm willing to take, a 60% tax to sell right now because the price is up 50x, and I'm still going to make a ton of profit. And when they do that, that 60x tax, that 60% tax that is applied is going to be the value of their initial investment times 60x. So it's going to be, or times 50x. So it's basically 60% of their initial investment times 50, paid out in the form of BNB and BUSD. So when those initial sales start coming, the BNB and BUSD distributions are going to be massive, and they're going to compound because only 3% is being paid out in the form of dividends. But initially, we can supplement the amount of BNB that's being paid out through this BNB that is created through unpairing the leftover LP tokens. So, I can't predict the future. So I don't know how much BNB is going to be paid out initially. I know that it's going to rapidly increase, especially as we get 1 month into it, 2 months into it, and the taxes start getting down low enough that people are willing to take a decently large size tax because the price has appreciated so much. But for the first month or so, we can supplement those BNB payouts by using a portion of the BNB that is coming from the unclaimed LP tokens from the crediting contract. And when you remove liquidity, burn the dog, so burning the sell side of the order book, you're not creating sell pressure, you're removing more tokens from circulation, and you're allowing the buy pressure to have a greater impact. And then you can choose to use that BNB that you removed to either add incentive for more people to buy and lock dogs by paying it out in the form of a BNB dividend to the dog pound, or you can use it just to throw right into the buy side of the order book and push the price up. And we'll be doing both. And I need to see how much capital it's going to be. We got to crush the numbers and see how many people that were credit LPs claimed their LPs and how many claimed single assets. And whatever's left over, the people that claim single asset LPs and didn't claim those leftover LPs, instead of just being locked in the contract, we can put them to work. So, I was just thinking about this morning, because I was thinking about the new bullish game theory that we have added to the animal farm in regards to the drip token. So, oops, I just dropped a glass straw. So, people that I know there's people here that are in Hex, right? And I don't often talk about other projects, and if I do, I try to make it positive, right? But unless I'm letting the community know, hey, this project just launched and it has an exploit, right? Which I've done plenty of times. But other than that, I like to speak somewhat positively if I'm going to mention another project. And there's a lot of people in our community that knew about Hex and saw Hex initially launch. And a big part, the the main reason why Hex did such a large pump in the first year is because Richard held 90+% of the liquidity, and he did not just leave that liquidity locked up in a contract. What he did was unpair that, take the Hex, put it in the staking contract, and take the ETH and use it to buy Hex, which then allowed him to remove more Hex from circulation. And he continued to do this. And every time you do that, every time you remove more Hex, you're making it so the next time you do it, there's more price impact. And so you unpair. Now when you buy, you're going to have a greater impact because there's a more shallow liquidity pool. And then when you buy back and you get that additional, those additional tokens, now the next time you do it, it's going to have an even greater impact. And this compounds on itself. And that's how he was able to do that major, like 10,000x or whatever he likes to say, in the first year. It was largely due to the fact that he held 98% of the liquidity, and he could have made it do 1,000,000x. But eventually, all of that liquidity that he held would have been used, and then you have a very shallow liquidity pool and no ability to continue to do it because he gave up all his centralized control. So that's why there was a limit to it there. In our case, there's no centralized figure that's doing this for the drip asset. What's happening now is, and the reason we were able to do this, and I haven't spoken in detail as much as I could about what allowed us to make this change. But one of the things that allowed us to make this change is that when we were doing testing, we saw an opportunity to make a change to our fee manager contract. And our fee manager contract is the contract that is getting the fees from the Dogs Mastership contract, swapping them for BUSD, and then utilizing the BUSD to either buy back dogs and add liquidity to dogs, or inject into the Pigpen or the Pigpen vault. We made an adjustment to the fee manager, which allowed us to have more flexibility about where those fees go. So, and this is something that's immutable, but we can add that. We can add the additional flexibility before we make it immutable. So what I mean by that is, after the post-launch, we can't just say, okay, we don't want these fees to go here anymore. Like, so the payout to the dogs buyback and liquidity add and the Pigpen injections, that is locked in. But before it's locked in for a given pool, we can decide where it goes. And when we made this change, we were now able to utilize the drip fee in a different way. And this is where I realized that we could use it for a buyback, but not just a normal buyback, a buyback which is emulating the kind of functionality that I spoke about earlier, where it's having a compound bullish effect because it's removing liquidity and then buying with the buy side of the order book that they just removed to increase the price, removing more tokens from circulation, and then having a greater positive impact the next cycle that goes through, and the next cycle that goes through. And the difference between our setup and something like what Richard Hart did with Hex is that we don't have a limited supply where we hold a specific amount of the supply and we can do it until we decide, okay, we've given up too much of our centralized power. In our case, it's decentralized, and as long as people are depositing and withdrawing into the animal farm, BUSD is being used to BUSD is being added to the order book, and drip is being removed from the order book, and that drip is being sent to the tax vault. So we were not able to do this until we made the adjustment to the fee manager, and this is something that we realized we could do in testing. And then once we realized we could do this in testing, we had to make the decision whether we decide to go with it as it was or we make this change. And because this was very shortly, like a couple days before launch, for months I wanted to make this change where drip was being utilized in the dog's master chef instead of the pig's master chef, and only dogs was utilized in the pig's master chef. I wanted to do this for months, but I knew that if we were going to take the drip BUSD off the pig's master chef and move it to the dog's master chef, we need to ensure that we're also adding value to drip. So the way that we were able to do that is, and what kind of cemented it that we can do that is the realization that we can make an adjustment to the fee manager, which will allow us to use it to remove liquidity and drip and add that BUSD to the buy side of the book, send the drip to the tax vault, and then send the drip that is being bought back to the tax vault as well. So when we realized we could do that, I was dead set on we have to do this because it's the game theory improvement is just so strong, and it's bullish for drip, it's bullish for animal farm. We need to do it. And then, but we were at this point like 48 hours before launch, and then coincidentally, the morning of launch, there was a hosting update that needed to happen on Drip Liberation, which made it so people could not utilize Drip Liberation through the front end, the old front end, and it could be used like through the contracts, right? Like it's a decentralized contract, decentralized service, so people could have always accessed it, but people could not access it through the front end because of a hosting updating issue that we needed to do. And it was just a ridiculous coincidence that this happened the day of launch. Kind of a negative coincidence, obviously, but it worked out because then we realized, all right, there's no way that we're going to launch this live if people cannot add liquidity to drip through the front end and without paying the tax. So we need to fix this. We spent like all day working on that hosting, and as people know, I don't need to really get into it anymore, but BB, who was my partner building Drip Liberation, a bunch of other projects, he had basically fell off and stopped working on V2, but he still had the credentials to the Drip Liberation host, which wasn't a big issue because it's decentralized, but it meant that we needed to set up new hosting. And because it happened on the morning of launch, we had to spend that time setting up the new host. So anyways, it's a coincidence that it happened on that day, but having to reschedule the launch really was the final thing that made me say, okay, I wanted to do these updates anyways. Now we're gonna push back the launch for a week. We could do these updates, and I'm very, very happy that we did, because it was kind of a thorn in my side that people could skip the vesting process by getting right in with drip, farming the Animal Farm pig tokens with drip. But drip with this new system still holds all of the value plus some that it did in V1 of Animal Farm and the initial concept, because it has the largest multiplier, which means that you can earn a higher APY for utilizing Drip USD to farm dogs than any other farm or pool on the platform. It has a lower fee than any other farm or pool on the platform, and uh, it has this unpairing buyback mechanism, which is going to be sending at least 3x more drip to the tax vault and creating massive buy pressure every time someone deposits and withdraws. This compounding buy pressure. Uh, and it's not a limited centralized thing where we only have so much money to buy for buybacks. It's a thing that's consistent and continuous for the life of the farm. So I'm very happy that we decided to do this, and we're in a place now that it's we're ready to go. We've got the feedback for the audit, where the audit's not completed, but as soon as the audit's completed, we're going to publish that. We're going to make it public so everybody can see the results of the audit, which will be great, and that will be before launch. It's being tested right now on a side chain in the exact state that we are right now, only unpaused on the side chain, and it's functioning perfectly. People are doing millions of transactions with bots and their own automated scripts and manually right now, and they've been doing it for a couple of days. And we have our marketing, which starts tomorrow, because I wanted to be confident in the new date before we started promoting it. So tomorrow, should I announce it tomorrow? Okay, I'll wait for some things to announce tomorrow, and I'll say some things today. So one thing I'll say is we're starting a new contest tomorrow. On Friday, we'll be announcing the winner of the last contest. On Thursday, we have an interview. We have a very nice placement going up tomorrow as far as like ad space. We have a Medium article coming out on Thursday as well. I just had a meeting with two professional writers who are joining our team, who we'll be having weekly meetings with, and basically once a week we'll have a team Medium article go out, which describes what we did last week and what we have planned for the next week. And every week I'll be meeting with these writers for about an hour a week, where we discuss what we did last week and what we have coming up. And this way, we have constant communication and constant accountability of what we have planned and what's coming up. And so you guys all know, what to expect from us and what we have planned, which is obviously super bullish. These are all things that I've wanted to do for a long time, and it's really just about building a team to allow for it. And building a team is not easy, especially in DeFi, where it's the Wild West, and people are only as loyal as where the attention is a lot of times. But I've had pretty good luck. People get burnt out. You go through partners and this kind of thing, but generally, everybody that's been a part of my team has been a intelligent, loyal person who had the best intentions for everybody, and I'm including Sads in this. I'm including BB in this. These guys are very intelligent. They're very good guys. They're very loyal. They're very skilled. But it takes time to really build a team that are going to be there for the long term. And the developers I have that I'm working with right now, the project manager that I have in place right now, the CMO that I have in place right now, are just fully devoted and really a major improvement for what we've been working with in the past. I'll say that. And they're great guys. So we're in a really good place right now. But as I was saying, the writing thing, getting out like weekly articles, all this stuff, these are things that I've wanted to do for a long time, and it's just about getting the right people in place, and we're doing that. We're making constant improvements. We just brought on these two writers. I had brought on a project manager, Stonecutter, who has been an amazing help from for the past like 5 or 6 years. Right, he's been a part of our community, and he really helped take some of the load off, like off the tasks I need to do. But he didn't have much experience in project managing. I brought him on because he's just a very great, helpful guy that I know and could trust. But he's going to be taking more of a community role now, where he's going to be doing like moderation in the chat and handling a lot of the community stuff. And over the past couple of weeks, we've been onboarding a new project manager who has many years experience doing project managing from an engineer's perspective, and he's worked with several like very large entertainment companies, managing their projects, and he's he's really helping us get things aligned and really just get things running as efficiently as possible in a way that we've never done. And a lot of this stuff is just starting to come into play. So sorry. So we've, in the past, we've had a lot. I've been basically needing to either do everything myself or micromanage everything myself. And over the past 5 months, we've been onboarding new team members and slowly growing the team. But Animal Farm is something that we started building a fairly long time ago. So there's a lot of overlap where some of the people that were working on it initially still had to be part of it to some degree, and because of that, some of the new stuff that we have from team members is just starting to come into play. As far as like our new project manager, he's just starting to be able to do his thing now, and our new developers, they had to start with code that they didn't develop, and I had to get them up to speed. And then we had, for example, Drip Liberation, which was hosted by uh, a shared host that other developers had a part of, and really from this point on, especially from the launch of Animal Farm on, it will be fully the new team working and really utilizing their skills in a way that they haven't been able to as efficiently as they would be able to if they came in from kind of the ground up. So I'm just looking forward to everything that we have coming up, and I'm excited. I'm excited, but the reason why I wanted to come on today was to talk about the idea with the dogs LPs, because that's going to give us millions of dollars more capital to put to work, and we have somewhere around $1 million for pig pen injections from V1. We have a very nice marketing budget, which we'll continue to put to work. Sorry, I got family over and they're making my dogs bark. Uh, Everybody knows what it is, right? My dogs are a part of every AMA and every interview at this point. Um, so, uh, it's just uh, I'm very happy that we decided to make these changes to the game theory, because if it wasn't done, it's something that I probably would have regretted, right? And uh, there's nothing else that I can think of that would be an improvement to Animal Farm. Like it's as optimized as could possibly be, and this adjustment isn't something that's new, right? In the sense that I knew that this could be an improvement. I've known that this could be an improvement for months, uh, and it was just a matter of uh, if we move drip to the Dogs Master Chef, how do we ensure that it creates additional value for drip? And doing the adjustment to the fee manager on the Master Chef was what allowed us to be able to do that, because now we could use that as a buyback mechanism. So we have some major announcements coming tomorrow as far as the new contest, uh, new marketing. We have an interview happening on Thursday. On Friday, we have a new Medium article coming out, and it'll be the start of our weekly Medium articles on this Thursday. On Friday, we are going to announce the winner of the previous contest. Um, we have some new ad placements going up. There's a very large YouTuber who wants to do an interview with us. He wants to wait till after launch, though, so that will be happening potentially next week. And you know, I think we were just someone suggested this in the DAO, and this is something that uh, I think is a decent idea. I'm ranked number 4 right now on Bybit as far as trading performance. So out of like 5.4 million traders on Bybit, I have the 4th greatest trading performance. And number 1 is actually not even an individual trader. It's like some index of the best 10 traders or something like that. So really, I'm in the top 3 of highest performing traders on Bybit out of 5.4 million. And I think that's something that we can utilize to get some interviews, right? So there's all of these big YouTubers who are having people come on so they can show referral links to the exchanges, right? That's a lot of these guys that's what they're doing. They're making money through selling indicators, which are like open source indicators that they just close source and put their name on it, and they're showing referral links and nonsense scam courses and that kind of thing. But still, they get these invites on these major YouTubers, and I have a feeling that we could probably leverage this my ranking right now on Bybit to get some major interviews. So we just spoke about that in the marketing meeting as well, and we're gonna try to do that. I didn't even know that there was like a ranking or a leaderboard or anything. I was going through on Bybit. If you do a certain amount of trading, you get VIP accounts, and that gives you like savings on order flow and all of this stuff. So I was clicking on that to see what my like how much I've saved on order flow and all of that, and it says ranked number 4 under my name. So I'm like, oh, what is this? I click on it. It takes me to the leaderboard, and I'm sitting the 4th highest performing person on Bybit right now as far as trading. I was, I've always said, I said months ago that you could put me up against anybody, any retail trader, trade for trade over 6 months or a year, and I'm going to beat them. And people in the DAO know that because I've been sharing my trades in the DAO in real time for over a year now, and we've been extremely, extremely successful. But to see that I have that kind of ranking was a little bit shocking, but it's cool, right? I never thought, like when I was building the system 5 years ago that I use today, that that it would be that effective, but it's rewarding. So, anyways, I'm just saying that because I think that will help us get interviews. Some people have been suggesting that we kind of leverage that. So I think that's a good idea, and we will do that. And of course, if I go on, what I'll do is I'll go on and I'll talk about, yeah, this is my trading strategy. I never tell anybody the details of my trading strategy. Obviously, anybody that tries to sell you a course who's going to teach you how to trade or anything like that, either they're going to teach you very, very basic stuff, which you can find online for free, and there's no edge to it really, uh, or uh, or it's just a scam. There's no one that's going to tell you their edge. That's a real successful trader. So I'm not going to go on there and talk about specific details of my system, but I'll go on there and give some general market analysis and that kind of thing, and then parlay it into promoting our projects. Of course, that'll be the main objective. Uh, so we'll see if we can get that going. I think we can. A lot of the big YouTubers, they do not want to be doing paid promotion right now because there were so many scams last year that a large portion of the YouTubers out there, BitBoy and a bunch of have lawsuits right now because they promoted so many scams, and they're all very careful about what they promote, and most of them are not even doing paid promo anymore. So going on there with a kind of a different selling point, like I'm the number 4 ranked trader right now on Bybit. I'd like to come on and talk about my analysis. I've been on these channels, this and that. Maybe I can get on that way, and then talk about my projects or our project from there. So it's exciting. Anyways, guys, I'll have another interview on Thursday. Tomorrow we'll make some announcements. I'll be in the chat answering people's questions, tonight and all day tomorrow. We have a major auditing meeting tomorrow. Today we got like an update, but tomorrow we're gonna get some closure on the audit. So that's we get a big day tomorrow. Between marketing, auditing news, and everything preparing for launch. So that's it. It was an impromptu thing. I was just excited because I just kind of realized we're going to potentially have millions of more dollars to do B&B injections and price appreciation with capital that would otherwise just be sitting in a contract. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much. And we're going to win, guys. Thank you. Bye.